By clicking to English, you will hear the English, as far as I know, right? Okay. Herkese günaydın. Benim adım Çağrı Yıldırım. Biliyorsunuz bu programın koordinatörü olarak yer alıyorum. Bu dönemde Covid döneminde etkinliklerimizi online olarak yapıyoruz bildiğiniz üzere. Bu ikinci online etkinliğimiz bilgi çoğaltıcılarına yönelik. Bu etkinliğimizde Horizon Europe yani Gelecek 9. Çerçeve programına yönelik sizlere ilk bilgileri vereceğiz. Bu etkinlik bizim açımızdan da çok önemli ulusal noktaları olarak. Çünkü bu etkinlikte biz İtalya'nın bu ulusal irtibat noktaları sistemini de öğrenmiş olacağız. Yani gelecek dönemde de bizler TÜBİTAK olarak sizlere nasıl hizmet vereceğiz, nasıl bir sisteme sahip olacağız, bu konuda da bizler de bir bilgi paylaşımından faydalanmış olacağız aslında. Öncelikle şunları hatırlatmak istiyorum etkinlik öncesinde. Yarın ve yarından başlayarak 24'üne kadar Research Innovation Days etkinliği olacak Avrupa Komisyonu tarafından. Bu etkinliklere mutlaka katılım göstermenizi rica ediyorum bilgi çoğaltıcısı olarak. Çünkü bu etkinliklerde gelecek çerçeve programı olan Horizon Europe'a yönelik en detaylı ve resmi bilgilere ulaşabileceksiniz. Ve ya bu önümüzdeki dönemde özellikle 22'sinde yani yarın açılacak Green Deal çağrısına yönelik de detaylı bir bilgi günü ve proje pazarı etkinliği gerçekleşecek. Biz bu etkinliklerin hepsini Ufuk 2020 web sayfasında duyurduk zaten. Sizlerin bilgi çoğaltıcısı olarak bu etkinliklere katılımınız ve bu bilgileri mutlaka kendi paydaşlarına paylaşmanızı rica ediyoruz. Şimdi etkinliğin bu kısmında ben sözümü Alexander'a bırakmak istiyorum. Kendileri sunumunu gerçekleştirecek ve katılımınızdan ötürü teşekkür ederim. Lütfen aklınıza sorular gelirse chat kısmına yazın. Biz mümkün mertebe sizlere yardımcı olmaya çalışacağız. İyi günler. So, Alexander, the floor is yours now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chari. Welcome all of you at our second webinar. I will try to share my screen with you. Is it okay? Works? Okay, so this is our, as I said, this is our second webinar, and this time, first webinar was on Green Deal call, which will be open soon under Horizon 2020. Probably next week, there will be the work program will be published and call text will be published and opened next week. And today we will concentrate on Horizon Europe, the future framework program starting from January officially. But we would like to share with you today all information, maybe not all, but main information available for today about Horizon Europe. However, we have to make a disclaimer that the documents we are referring to, they are official documents, but they are usually not final versions of this document. So you have to be careful and you have to follow the last update and to use the last versions published officially by European Commission. Mainly, I was using in my presentation information which was published by Commission in 2019 in May. But there are some, of course, additional documents which were published recently, especially on implementation of Horizon Europe, and I will refer to this document at the end of my presentation. So my presentation is mostly about the documents which are important to understand the policy background and to guide you through existing published documents, just to help you to get familiar with the content of the program. Grigoris will make more about content of the program, and then we have two presentations from our consortium partner, from APRE, from Italy, one regarding NCP system and one regarding European Innovation Council activities, which are also very important for you, I think, because many of you are working with companies and you are interested in all actions related to SME support. Okay, so now I will go further. So what is the starting point of Horizon is policy recommendations which were published or prepared by European Commission for the meeting of EU leaders in Sibiu, Romania in May 2019. And there is a very interesting document I'm referring to, Europe in May 2019. This is a policy document which is presenting the priorities of EU policy in, of course, in wide spectrum, not only related to research and innovation, but in all areas. And this document is also, one chapter of this document is targeting on research and innovation policy of European Union. Okay, so what are the main recommendations from this, which creating a base for Horizon Europe, creates a base for Horizon Europe, is there are four main recommendations, which you can see that they are reflected in the structure of Horizon Europe. First is focusing research innovation on ecological, social, and economic transition and related societal challenges. So you have the pillar of clusters, which is related to these issues. Then you have leadership in breakthrough and disruptive innovation. It's very important to understand that here is mentioned breakthrough and disruptive innovation. So European Union is not going for innovation in general, but it wants to support breakthrough and disruptive innovation. It makes, of course, difference, and you will see that it reflected, for example, in European Innovation Council programs. Setting ambitious goals to fight with specific challenges, and that this is reflected in missions of Horizon Europe. So here you can find recommendations like fight against cancer, harmful emissions, oceans, etc. So these are reflected in missions. And finally, of course, you have recommendation on focusing on cutting edge of research and innovation. But what is important here is that projects spanning from research and innovation to deployment. So this is important that Horizon Europe will focus more on implementation of research results, on marketing, on implementation and dissemination of results. So it will be more targeted on this side, not on the process of development, but more on the support to commercialize the research results. Okay, let's move. Let's move further. So, as I said, this is reflected in Horizon Europe main objectives, strengthening EU scientific technological base and European research area, boost European innovation capacity, competitiveness and jobs, I'm mentioning this because always in proposals, you have to refer to policy objectives and policy priorities. And this document I mentioned gives you very good base for such elaboration. So Horizon Europe is really targeting this main recommendations, is reflecting all these main recommendations, and proposed budget for Horizon Europe originally was 100 billion of euro, but recently it was reduced to slightly more than 80 billions, but it's not the last version. There will be still discussions, and what we can say that it will be somewhere between 80 billion and 100 billion. Okay, so now I'm coming to legislative package of Horizon Europe. Here you see the process of coming from this legislative package to opening calls for proposals. So it will go through a strategic plan, which is under development now. Then a strategic plan will contain information or description of work programs. So strategic plan will be for 4 years. Then there will be, based on that, there will be work programs, and finally open call for proposals. At this moment, we don't have a strategic plan. We don't have, of course, work programs, but we have some documents which are creating a base for development of the strategic plan. Okay, so main document, there are two main legislative documents which are one is structure rules for participation and dissemination, and second one is about specific programs that sets out thematic clusters and the broad line of actions. So this is the description of the content of the program. As you see, these documents are from 2018. Then there was a discussion with European Parliament and Council, an agreement in April last year on these documents. There were some changes. Sorry, I have to go back. There were some changes. So now we have 6 clusters. We have a recommendation to shorten the time to grant to 6 months. Now we have 9 months, so it's very ambitious goal. Then there was a change in these documents regarding European Innovation Council to provide support blended and grants only. You could see it in a EIC Accelerator pilot. Already this was implemented, that it was offered blended finance or grants only finance. You have more information now about partnerships. There is annex to the documents I have mentioned where these partnerships are listed, and of course they are still being developed. They are also available at European Commission website. Contacts to persons responsible for contact persons for different partnerships. There is more about widening now. An increased budget is proposed for widening. Widening is very important for Turkey. As you are aware of, recently, the last call of widening, Turkey was quite successful. There was, I think, 6 proposals funded. And also our project organized training on widening, and majority of teams which won this call were participating to our event, and Grigoris was the main speaker and expert at this training. Okay, and then final, which is again important element of this game, is that Commission is going to prepare strategic plan to facilitate implementation of the Horizon Europe. And this strategic plan is very important document, which should be available in a couple of I don't know, maybe October, November should be ready. Okay, there are one more important document, evaluation of Horizon 2020, interim evaluation, which is also provides a lot of interesting information, which is based for Horizon Europe. I will not elaborate more on that. You see the numbers of documents, and you can easily find them in internet. So at the end of the day, from lessons learned also from Horizon 2020, we are coming to the structure of Horizon Europe. So again, coming back to support to breakthrough innovation was a recommendation from interim evaluation. So we have European Innovation Council actions in Horizon Europe, more impact on missions-oriented approach, we have missions, international cooperation, reinforcing openness, important element of new program, open science policy, access to the result, to the project results, open access to project results, publications, etc. And also partnerships. Partnerships will play more important role in Horizon Europe. And as you know, there are additional funding which are going through partnerships, because partnerships are, there are formal partnerships where additional money from national budgets are coming to partnerships, or they are private-public partnerships where private funding goes to partnerships. So there will be additional calls, as under similar to Horizon 2020, additional calls announced by partnerships, and of course, Commission is looking for additional funding for research innovation coming from private sources through partnerships. And I mentioned more important role of spreading excellence and widening. And now we are coming to the structure. I will not elaborate on that because it's Grigori's part. We have 3 pillars. We have excellent science pillar. We have challenge clusters now. So we have 6 clusters and plus missions, and we have pillar Innovative Europe, where is European Institute of Innovation Technology activities and European Innovation Council activities. And horizontal widening participation, I mentioned, the part which is quite important for Turkey or any other associated countries and countries which are going to improve their research innovation capacity. Okay, there is one more. I was talking about implementation, about commercialization of project results. So there is one more document establishing InvestEU program. InvestEU is a fund which is going to support commercialization process and bringing technologies to the market. This document is again available. It was amended recently by the Commission, which reflects higher investment needs and increased risks related to environment and the situation with COVID and economic situation. So this document was amended. So it's updated version of this document. And what is, if you are familiar with many programs, many instruments, financial instruments, which were available under Horizon 2020, all these instruments now will be under one roof. So former 13 EU financial instruments now will be all integrated under InvestEU EU program. Again, I will not go into details, but only to tell you that there are 4 components on InvestEU. There is a fund, InvestEU fund, providing financial guarantees. There are also advisory hub providing technical assistance to organizations applying for funding. And there will be database and InvestEU portal just to promote projects which are looking for financing. And last part, blending operations. Okay, so let's move forward. So now we came to strategic plan. As I said, we don't have strategic plan, but this is very important document. Which of course is based on legal documents. So Horizon Europe specific program is a starting point. And this strategic plan will contain descriptions of impacts. Now, again, Horizon Europe is targeting strongly on impact. In each call, there will be a more detailed description of expected impact. And these impacts will be also covered by these documents. More about identified missions and more about European partnerships. So this document will cover the content of the Horizon Europe program. Of course, strategic policy priorities for Horizon Europe. This document will cover next 3 years. It will not cover the whole Horizon Europe program. And based on this document, and this document will prepare the content of work programs. That's why Commission started the strategic planning process. The strategic planning process has had taken place last year. There was 1 round of public consultations plus research and innovation days in 2019. And now we have 2nd round of these consultations. These consultations, web consultations were closed recently, I think 2 days ago. And now Commission will go through process of research and innovation days are again the element of this strategic planning process, so stakeholders will contribute to this document. What we have now at this moment is orientations towards the first strategic plan for Horizon Europe. This is official document, which is not a draft of strategic plan, but it's a document which gives a foundation for the first strategic plan. Okay, and you can go to this document. You can find it again on the website of European Commission. Again, it describes policy objectives, specific issues taken for implementation of Horizon Europe. It presents instruments, missions, partnerships. So again, you can find more information about development, status of development of Horizon Europe through these documents, orientations towards the strategy. plan. What is important, there are 6 annexes corresponding to each Horizon Europe cluster, which is a description of the content of each cluster and impacts, targeted impacts. Okay. Now there is one more document because Commission now is going into implementation strategy for Horizon Europe, which is requires many documents. Main document for implementation is, of course, Model Grant Agreement, MGA, mentioned here as MGA. And the main orientations for implementation is also important to understand let's say, the objectives of, properly understand the objectives of Horizon Europe. Again, it says about maximizing impact, and Commission will elaborate clear specification of expected impacts and the level of each call. Commission is foreseeing not only to select the best proposals, but also to create somehow coherent portfolio of projects so that the projects will complement each other. Selected projects in the call should complement each other and should be related to reaching the program objectives and expected impacts. Commission will develop a set of indicators against which it will be easier to report and to monitor the progress and to monitor the project outcomes. Okay. Also, greater transparency is expected and further simplification. So again, more work for more clear text of work programs, less elements to be included in proposals, more links to documents and shorter proposal, less pages, more interaction between applicants and experts, maybe not always interviews, but some more communication between applicants and experts is expected. Model grant agreement, simplified, and more lump sum projects. So Commission will invest into the project specific amount of money, not asking about details, how this money will be used, but of course the targets should be reached of the project. And important, Commission will put more attention on calls which are announced by partnerships and by European Institute of Technology. So maximizing impact, more transparency and simplification, synergies with other EU spending. Commission will allow for sequential funding, so for EU sources from different European programs to fund the same, let's say, projects or to reach the same results using different sources of funding, and also some new stated rules which will help to use funding from different sources and to fund some additional, to use state aid funding because now current rules sometimes are prohibiting from using public funding to fund. For example, there are problems with funding Seal of Excellence, and this will be solved in the new framework program. Okay, and more information about portal, artificial intelligence modules, so more digital communication, more use of digital tools for providing information and communication with applicants and coordinators and project partners. Okay, so new implementation, that's about new implementation strategy. There is first version of this document on implementation. And my last slide is announcement of European Research and Innovation Day. Chari already mentioned. This is virtual event. You can register and join the session which is relevant for you. And today, Grigoris will present kind of a guide for you just to help you to participate because there is a lot of sessions, 9 hubs, so sometimes it's difficult to find the session, the right session, which is interesting. So Grigoris will provide some guidance how to maneuver through all these sessions and to find the right place for you. So that's all from my side. Of course, we are not at this moment in Ankara. We are at our home locations, and it will be like this probably till the end of this year. So that's all from my side, and I will stop. Yes, I will close.
Okay. Am I ready to start? Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for attending our event. I think that you all know me by now, since we have been already doing a couple of webinars together. Therefore, I will skip the introduction and I will go directly to the topics of our discussion. So, what I would like to do today is, after getting the introduction of the policy context by Alexander, which is a very important one, particularly in order then to understand which instruments and which pillars and which actions and missions are relevant for our organization, I would like to present you quickly what we're going to talk in my session, which is related. First of all, we're going to explore a little bit why Horizon Europe is needed. Then we're going to see, so we want to capture basically the big picture of Horizon Europe, and it has 2 dimensions. Then we're going to move to pillars, as you already got a sneak preview from Alexander. Then we're going to missions, then to partnerships, then to type of actions, and then at the end to the Q&A session, where you will have the opportunity also to ask questions and to discuss with us, with the full group of experts regarding your possibilities of participating. So let's start by the beginning to see a little bit why Horizon Europe is needed. It's actually the next EU Research and Innovation Investment Program. It's supposed to start from 2021 and it's supposed to last until 2027, which might look like many years from now. But believe me, when Horizon 2020 started, we were all looking forward to it, and we didn't think that it will finish so quickly. So time flies by. We're going now to discuss about what Europe wants to achieve, and the global language of sustainable development is what has been introduced by the United Nations, is the Sustainable Development Goals. And there we have to think a little bit about prosperous future, not only for the people, but also for the planet. We need to tackle climate change. We need to achieve sustainable development goals. We need science and technology to help us overcome the major crises like the one that we are facing now with the pandemic. And of course, we need to boost the union's competitiveness and growth for better and more jobs for Europe. So, speaking about Europe, let's see a little bit some key figures about Europe. We are 7% of the world's population. But in terms of the budget, we have 20% of the global R&D budget. Plus, we have more than 30% of all high-quality scientific publications in the world. And I would like to stress the part high quality there. Still, the investment in business R&D is very low in Europe. You will see that we are at 1.3% of GDP. United States is at 2%, and our neighbors, our partners in the East, Japan and Korea, are above 2.5 and sometimes above 3. Therefore, we need to continue doing that. But let's see now, because Alexander also mentioned it, how much money is put in the table for Horizon Europe. This table reflects all the political drama that is taking place in the past couple of years about how much will be the budget. And I have to tell you that this soap opera is not yet. What we know now is the push to increase the budget. It started like that. The last Commission proposal in May 2020 was about 24.4 billion. However, we have to be realistic. We're living in tough times. We have to tackle the aftermath of the corona crisis. We have to respond to massive unemployment, to negative rates of growth all over Europe and possibly all over the world. Therefore, the priorities are kind of difficult. What we have here is that we had some council compromise, and then we had another negotiation box. And currently, it looks like that the last news we had for the 20th of July speak about a budget of 80.9 billion. But as Alexander said, this is not end yet. There is going to be, of course, pressures from the scientific community and pressures for the innovation community and possibly the companies or from various sources to increase that budget. And we really hope, being part of this community, that the budget will be increased. But nevertheless, still, the 80 billion is not a small number. And I think that there are many opportunities to contribute to the goals and the objectives of the program. So, the added value of Horizon Europe, as it is expressed by the programming documents that were mentioned before, it, of course, wants to strengthen the European research and innovation landscape. It aims to create new market opportunities. It aims to promote transnational mobility as a way of enhancing and fostering research and innovation excellence. It is aiming to increase the visibility for research and innovation, because this is important, particularly in those times that we need to turn to science and technology to find solutions for our problems. It's very, very important to promote the scientists, to promote the scientific results as good paradigms for the society. Also, it's about competitive funding, promoting the excellence and making sure that the ideas that are funded are the top ones at the global level. Also, we need, thanks to Horizon Europe, we are able to create a critical mass which is needed to address global challenges. We mentioned climate change, we mentioned COVID pandemic. There are many other global challenges, and we will see afterwards the missions are crafted around this context. Also, we know that the problems are so complex that no country or even no continent or no single geographical area can solve them alone. We need the collaboration to be transnational. We need to build the networks, to exchange knowledge, to learn from each other, and to grow, to maximize the potential of research and innovation. And of course, we want to attract the best talents in Europe. In the past, many European countries have suffered from intense brain drain, either from other North European countries or sometimes from United States, Australia, or now recently even to countries of Eastern Asia. Therefore, we want to make sure that Europe will be the best place for researchers and innovators to work. This is something that you have seen before, but just it's the structure, just for the sake of reminding you. I have my own way to interpreting the different pillars. The first one, I would say, it's in the excellent science, is science for scientists, is to increase the level of science, scientific excellence, and to put forward proper infrastructure, but also finance really unique ideas. The second one, which is about global challenges and European industrial competitiveness, allow me to call it science for society. Here we have to deal with major societal challenges, but also we need to support particular sectors of the economy where there is a great potential for growth and jobs. And the last one, which is Innovative Europe, which is about the European Innovation Council and European Innovation Ecosystem, allow me to call it science for business. These are the tools that will allow us, in fact, to roll out the scientific results into some kind of marketed products and to fill in this gap, because statistics show that in Europe we are very good in creating knowledge, but we're not equally good in turning this knowledge into money. Therefore, this is the thing that we need to push forward. And the last horizontal pillar, which is about widening participation and strengthening the European research area, this is exactly about homogenizing the research area of Europe. As you know, there are quite some differences in the research area. You have countries that are having their research performances way above average, and you have countries who are lagging behind. And this thing alone creates issues like brain drain, like huge differences in the salaries of researchers across countries. Therefore, the widening program is aiming exactly to heal those issues and to homogenize as much as possible the research area of Europe. Before going to my next slide, I would like to take you to the Slido poll. And this is the Slido poll. Here we go. So I would ask you kindly to log in with your laptop or with your mobile phone or tablet into slido.com and enter this hashtag code, which today is #S777. So that we will have the chance, because, you know, this, as Alexander mentioned, unfortunately, we do not have the live events, but so we have to do the webinars. And those of you who participated in our events know that we always try to keep them interactive. We want to communicate with you, and we want to engage in discussions. The tool that we have today, one of the ways that we have today to achieve that is this poll. So I would like to ask you to join the Slido poll. And the first question I have for you is, what do you know about Horizon Europe? So do you hear about it for the first time? Do you know that it exists, but you don't have more information? Do you know a few basic aspects? Or you collect all the information you can find and you attend the events? Let me see the results. I normally like to keep some time here, so I will allow you to vote and watch the results live. Good thing is that not many people seem to hear about Horizon Europe for the first time. But this makes sense because the IMS team is very motivated. We have already observed that in our previous events. I will leave you some more time. Please participate. It's very important, since it doesn't take you too much time, but it's very useful for us because based on your responses, we carefully analyze them, and based on those, we design trainings, trainings, and we design the focus group trainings that we're going to develop in the future, and so on. So it's of utmost importance for us to have your feedback on that. Okay, I will take a couple of more. Please do enter the Slido. I want a couple of more answers before I move to the next section. So, it seems that the majority of people have heard about Horizon Europe. They know the successor of Horizon 2020, but not more than that. And that's the purpose of such events, to help to put you into gaining more knowledge, to the extent that this knowledge is available to us as well, because, as I said, it's quite a tricky period. I know there are people who know a few basic aspects, or there are people who are also collecting information. I kindly invite you to join our website, our project website, our portal. There you will find whatever information we currently have, and particularly for the IMS, we are planning to provide you more information on the topic because we have the IMS platform as well. So, thank you very much. Next question for you now. Do you believe that the opportunities for organization in Horizon Europe will be more than in Horizon 2020? Or in Horizon 2020, will you had more or the same? Let me see some answers here. Let's see who are the optimistic and who are the pessimistic among the group. I think that's also interesting. It seems that the majority of you believe that we have the same or even more opportunities in Horizon Europe. However, let's try to think a little bit about the competition. So what is your idea about the competition? Will there be more competition in Horizon Europe? It was more competitive in Horizon 2020, or you're expecting the same? Let me see your answers into that. Okay, it seems that people agree that there will be more competition in Horizon Europe. Therefore, these trainings, I think, are very important because in order to survive this competition, you would need certainly to have lots of information, and you will need to gain some competitive advantage and start preparing as early as possible. Having said that, let us now go back to our presentation. So, one disclaimer before we start presenting is that this information is not final. Thanks to the help of the TÜBİTAK team, but also after doing some research ourselves, after talking to people in our networks and everything, we try to gather some information which is not yet official. So there might be changes. This information aims to support you in participating in the upcoming event, in engaging in networking exercises, in doing some brainstorming internally to decide about the directions of your research. But we're not presenting any calls here. The information is not final. And for every call, we strongly encourage, as we always say in our events, to look at the official call documents when they will be published by the Commission. Anything else, even if you find draft documents, they're good indication of what is going to happen. They're good indication of what is ahead of us, but you should not make final decisions based on those. Let's now start to talk about the pillars. So, the pillar one, as we discussed, was related to excellent science. This, we call it science for science, which means that it aims exactly in enhancing the scientific results. Normally here the technology readiness level are quite low, and you have the typical ERC grants, which is frontier research by the best teams around. This is like a very prestigious call that is aimed at scientists with breakthrough results. Then you have the Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions, which are the actions exactly aiming in exchanging, in mobility, in training, in allowing the researchers to go out of their own lab, to collaborate, to develop skills, to enhance their careers, to progress, to learn things and everything. And the last is the research infrastructure. This is aiming in interconnecting and integrating the existing research infrastructures. It's true that our societies have been investing a lot in research infrastructure. I mean, this is mostly public investments. However, those are not fully utilized exactly because of fragmentation, of lack of critical mass, of lack of awareness among the ecosystem on who is having what type of infrastructure. Therefore, this is the very important part of the first pillar in order to make sure that we can maximize the benefit and the return of the taxpayers' investment with respect to the infrastructure. The second cluster is, the second pillar is the clusters. And in clusters, as we know now, we have 6 of them, and they are very important because they are, on one hand, addressing important sustainable goals, development goals, important societal challenges and needs. And on the other hand, they are pushing forward towards more jobs and more growth in the European economy. And as you can imagine, you have a slightly different way of categorizing than we had in Horizon 2020. We have less clusters, but they are somehow interconnected with each other, and that makes sense because most of the times we see that they create somehow a nexus. So there is one cluster related to digital industry and space, another one which is related to civil security for society, another one for health, which is, as you understand, a very, very hot topic nowadays. Another one in the topic, which is my favorite, which is food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. Another one related to culture, creativity, and inclusive societies. And last but not least, and I know there are many people in Turkey who have a keen interest in this topic, climate, energy, and mobility. So these are the clusters. And then we go to the third pillar. The third pillar is around market. We want to create breakthroughs, and we want to develop a stable and efficient ecosystem related to innovation. And so certainly we need, first of all, to connect regional and national innovation actors, and there are many calls already from Horizon 2020 in the past from FP7 that we're doing that. We need to, the European Innovation Council is the EIC Accelerator program is one of the major activities, but also there are other calls that they are getting into. And this is how to mobilize sometimes even private capital and how to support innovations in creating markets and launching products. And we, of course, we have the EIT calls, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, and there you have to push forward topics again related by promoting innovation, by bringing together different actors related to research, to business, to civil society, and so on and so forth. Last but not least, and if you ask me, very important, is the widening participation and strengthening the European research area. We believe that this is an extremely important call, particularly for Turkish organizations. It's a call that our team has very good experience. And in the past, we have supported with trainings in the Horizon 2020 all the relevant activities for widening, namely teaming, twinning, ERACERS, etc. It also includes some policy aspects like scientific evidence and foresight, open science, policy support framework, how we can make the careers of researchers attractive for more people, how can we engage citizens into science, but also how can we promote responsible research and innovation. And of course, an issue that remains major in all research projects, which is about gender equality. By the way, I think that one of the Turkish projects that was successful in twinning calls and who participated in our group was about gender equality. So we believe that the demonstrate from Turkey. And this particular call is more critical because this is the call where the I would say the member states with lower performance research, but also many associated countries are pushing for bigger and bigger budgets, because this is actually the way to somehow homogenize the research area of Europe and create similar conditions to many places. The Commission was promising that at least 0.3% of Horizon Euro budget will go to widening. If you ask me, I still believe it's a small number. I think we need more. But nevertheless, that's a personal opinion. The case is that we have to wait to see. But in any case, we expect the widening type of actions to continue in Horizon Europe. And we believe that this is a very, very interesting point for the Turkish research area, because it's a good opportunity to create centers of excellence, to engage into collaboration, and to get to support brain circulation and excellence initiatives. Then we have the Research EU for research, InvestEU for research and innovation. This is practically a lever that is aiming to fill in the gaps. What are the gaps? Europe has, on one hand, I would say, a weak investment community. Investors in Europe are not famous for taking high risks, and they are mostly focusing on some kind of digital solutions. And if you see, the majority of the IPOs recently in Europe come from some kind of digital solutions and marketplaces and B2C applications and so on and so forth. However, it is known that in order to compete in the global arena, we need entrepreneurship which is based in the so-called deep tech advancements. We need entrepreneurship which is based on scientific results of high quality. And unfortunately for Europe, this is an activity with high risk, and the investors, the current investors, are not always very keen to invest on their own. On the other hand, as you know, banks are very conservative. There is the old saying that banks will always borrow money to people who don't really need it. And in the third aspect is that the grant schemes that exist all over Europe, sometimes they are too slow or too bureaucratic, and the companies with really high growth potential and acceleration potential very rarely find themselves into those. Therefore, Europe wants to mobilize private funds exactly to leverage those, exactly to fill in the gap that exists in the current financial markets. Now, before going to the missions, please allow me to share again my Slido screen with you, where I would like to ask you which of the three pillars of Horizon Europe you think is more relevant for your organization, and please feel free to choose more than one if appropriate. I have a suspicion of what will be the result, but let's see if you will confirm my suspicion. Please do vote. We need your opinion. We need to hear your voice, even if we're not in a physical environment. Okay. A little bit more would help. Please just press the key or tap in your screen. Okay. Well, I must say that indeed my suspicion was confirmed by a large percentage. 92% find Pillar 2 as more interesting, and I must say that I agree with them. However, we should not neglect the other two parts, and I think that Turkey has already some very good performance and good opportunities in the other two parts. But let me now ask you about the widening. So, are you familiar with the widening calls? Teaming, twinning, era chairs, etc. Have you heard of them in Horizon 2020? You participated in them. Please cast your vote. Some more numbers, please. Just one click of a button away. Okay, it seems that many people have heard about them, but still there is a good majority that hear about them first time. And it seems that there is also quite a good number of organizations that have participated in widening calls. I am sure that the more information we have about them in the future, we will transmit it to you in the best possible way, because these are typically the calls where they are open-ended and we have lots of interest from high-quality Turkish organizations. I will now go back to my original presentation. And now it's time to talk about missions. So, missions are aimed to be some bold and inspirational and measurable goals that are having a huge impact in society, and they're impacting loads and loads of European citizens. These are the things, to put it in a very plain terms, these are the things that we as citizens should care about. And these are the things that make sense to somehow organize all our activities in lockstep and bring all the possible resources we can find in order to put them into action. And so far, there have been 5 mission areas. However, this list is not exhaustive. This means that these are not that they have been carved in stone and no new missions can appear. For example, possibly, I think that if this discussion about the missions was done today, we would think of another mission of how we can tackle pandemics. But nevertheless, again, that's a personal opinion. Let's see which are the 5 missions that have been selected so far. First, adaptation to climate change, including social transformation. Huge. All of us see how climate change is already affecting our everyday lives, and sometimes we see the very dark projections about the effects of climate change globally for the future. So it's clear why this is a mission. Cancer, it's a huge mission. It's still one of the diseases that the modern medicine has not been able to tackle at a full, so we need to find a way to stop this disease from killing millions of people every year. And also I would say that, generally speaking, to create problems in the quality of people's lives and society. Then, another one that I have a keen interest personally, it's soil, health and food. We understand that the quality of the food, having safe and adequate food for generations to come, for our children, largely depends on the quality of soil. Therefore, we need to somehow protect the health of our soil, enhance the health of our soil, and find solutions that we don't further contaminate it. Climate neutral and smart cities. Most of us do live in cities, and the projection is that in the future, we will live, more and more people will live in cities. Nowadays, cities can have a very heavy environmental footprint, but also they can be the agents of change. They can be the organizations that you can really somehow introduce solutions that are giving a positive environmental footprint, and this is the direction towards there. And last but not least, healthy oceans, seas, coastal and inland waters. We're depending on the water. We're depending on the water for our own nutrition. We're depending on the water to communicate. We're depending on the water to generate energy. There are lots of reasons that we need to take care of water resources. And generally speaking, this is why this is one of the most important missions identified by the European Commission. Okay, some legalities here. There are 3 elements that are making a mission relevant to Horizon Europe context. We're talking first of all about the portfolio of expert-based impact-driven research innovation. Have cross-disciplinary, cross-sectoral, and have to achieve within a set time frame a measurable goal that would not be achieved with individual actions. They have to have an impact on both society and policy making through science and technology. They have to be relevant for a significant part of the European population and a wide range of European citizens. And the governance of the missions has started. The European Commission has received, I think, thousands of applications for chairs of the mission boards. They establish boards, and each board have a chair. So you see here the names of the people who are into each chair. You can certainly Google their profiles and LinkedIn to see who they are. Also, the composition of the mission boards is public information, so you can see who else is into that particular one. And before going to that, to the partnerships, let me again take you to my other screen to see a little bit what do you think about the missions and the clusters. So, speaking about clusters, which of the 6 clusters of Horizon Europe do you believe is more relevant organization. I don't have a prediction, I must admit. I want to hear from you, so I'm curious. Okay, okay. Let's see. We have three very strong components. Let's see how it moves. Please give me some votes. This is not enough. Let me see how many people we have now. We have lots of people, so I expect to see at least 10 answers more. Okay. Good, good. So it seems that the most popular calls will be the ones, clusters will be the one related to digital industry and space, and the one related to climate, energy, and mobility. In a very close, it's food by economy, which is my favorite one. Thank you very much. And now let's discuss a little bit about the missions. Which one of the missions you believe, no, it's the most important. I think all of them are important for our society, for our lives, for our families. But let's see a little bit which you think of those missions is more relevant to your organization, to the organization that you are representing here. Here you have also the possibility to answer none of the above, which is fantastic. Okay. Good, good. We're moving well. I think the two most important ones have been identified as adaptation to climate change and climate neutral and smart cities. Give it another couple of votes, and then we go back to the presentation. Okay, great. We now move again to the presentation, and now it's time to discuss about co-funded partnerships. And possibly many of you will remember programs like the ERANET or the JPI partnerships or other types of similar types of partnerships. Here, the idea is that we need to, European partnerships are in principle procedures through which European Commission is not launching the calls for beneficiaries, but is teaming up with organizations, either of the public sector, where research funding budgets of national governments, or the private sector, to design and deliver calls together. Some key features that we want to see more in Horizon Europe are related to some simple architecture and some common set of criteria, some coherent life cycle approach, and some strategic orientation. So the basic three elements of the European partnerships are that they are co-programmed. This means that the national agencies or the authorities participate in the development of the program, and they are part of the design process. They are co-funded, means that the participants, which are national funding bodies, they are also, depending on their available budgets, they are also participating into that. And also institutionalized, meaning that there is, since there is a long-term dimension in these activities, there has to be a solid institutional framework upon which they can function during the Horizon Europe. So, what is new from the previous programming period? First of all, Europe wants to support partnerships only in case that they are more effectively in achieving policy objectives than Horizon Europe alone. Keep in mind that European Commission has put together Horizon Europe as an instrument, but still there are areas or activities or domains where partnerships, meaning European Commission teaming up with national funding agencies, might be more effective. But these are the ones that Commission would like to focus on. This means, by definition, fewer partnerships with higher impact, because having scattered partnerships across the situation doesn't work. We're talking about a common and coherent framework of criteria along the life cycle of partnerships, in order to make sure that there is not such a non-homogenized environment with respect to partnerships. Take advantage of the critical mass in order to have some unified umbrella branding in order to improve visibility. Openness to a broader set of actors. Generally speaking, the past setup of the partnerships has shown that sometimes some organizations could not find a way to benefit from them. Particularly, we're talking about startups and SMEs. Somehow improve the coherence, make the partnerships work in lockstep with the other priorities of Horizon Europe and, of course, the missions. And also to have some time-limited duration, meaning that they have to be phasing out the program funding, and then they will need to become as much as possible self-sustainable or follow some other model. I don't want to bore you with the technical and the legal requirements, but we provide this slide for the sake of having all the information needed. And please feel free to join these links if you are interested in digging deep into the legal and regulatory framework of the partnerships. The idea for the partnerships is that it is a process that happens step by step. It mostly affects, in the beginning, it starts by the national research funders and the governmental research organization and ministries that they want to create proposals. They need to prepare a strategic research and innovation agenda. It's very important to engage into discussions with the Commission and draft some proposals. And every work plan and every activity needs Commission approval, because Commission is co-financing these partnerships. Governance is very important. On one hand, you have the internal governance of the consortium, because it's technically speaking, it's still a consortium. The partnerships will be consortia running programs themselves. But also, it's very important to have proper external governance, where the representatives of the ministries which are participating, the Commission, and some other organizations might be able to monitor, but also to advise, to support, and to provide guidance. And there are other elements that might be appropriate. This might be a scientific advisory board, which is very common, but also it might be some stakeholder forum where we secure that the citizens are also participating and engaged. For the time being, what is very important, and I'm sure that TÜBİTAK is working towards this direction, is to find the relevant national representatives that can work as the API, allow me the IT term to say, that will be able to connect the national policies and priorities with the content of the partnerships. Here you see this context into a diagram. So technically speaking, we understand that this is a quite complex governance structure, but nevertheless, it requires at the maximum efficiency, transparency, but also very important alignment with national strategies and priorities is achieved. Another thing that is very important for partnerships is, in the past we were facing a case of calls being restricted to countries or restricted to regions, or each country having its different restrictions with respect to who is eligible. The Commission has a preference, it seems, to have as open as possible. Sometimes, if the partners agree, of course, the Commission would suggest to have it exactly as Horizon Europe, meaning quite open to all partners from all regions, etc. What is important is that this the elements and the qualities of openness and transparency should come as a result of agreement among the Commission and the participating organizations. Interesting thing is that the partnerships can work for associated third countries, like Turkey has been a member of many of those, but they can also work for non-associated third countries. So it means that through the partnerships, if the right elements are put in place, then we can have possibly also the opportunity to include countries that are normally not participating in Horizon. For example, advanced countries of Southeast, or even countries from the other side of the Atlantic. So there is quite an opportunity in selected partnerships to work along these lines. Okay, and this is now the most interesting thing. Here you will see a portfolio of candidate partnerships, which are also somehow distinguished between candidate institutionalized partnerships, partnerships that are coming from the European Innovation and Technology Institute, co-programmed partnerships, co-funded partnerships, and partnerships with between public and private sector. Here you can see quite a complex, but nevertheless, I think interesting portfolio of candidate partnerships. In sectors, we would say that the sectors that we see as very popular are related to energy, transport and mobility, urban environment, manufacturing, health, food, agriculture, etc. But you also see, oops, I'm sorry, this was an accident. But you also see that there are quite a lot of horizontal partnerships that are drawing upon the competencies and the challenges of more areas. And I think that these are still the candidate ones, but it gives us a very good overview of what will be more or less expected. Now, with respect to the timeline, it seems that now we are on September 2020. We're expecting the Research and Innovation Days, which is in principle considered as a milestone because lots of public consultations will also take place related to missions and partnerships. Then the core topics for the co-programmed and co-funded partnerships need to be defined between, let's say, I would say this process started before the summer and it has to finish by the end of the year. And then about the beginning of the year, we expect to adopt the Horizon Europe program where this would be more clear to all of us. Before going to the types of actions, because I think that possibly some of you are not very familiar with the term of the partnership. So let's see what's going on here. Let's see, are you aware of the EIT calls? Are you aware of the ERANET calls? Are you aware of both? Have you been engaged in the participation of the partnership, or are you hear it for the first time? Let's see a little bit what's going on here. Okay, numbers seem to be piling up. It seems that the ERANET calls are the most popular ones, which makes sense because I know that Turkey had many of those, and in many cases we had very good performance. But I think that there are many people who hear about them for the first time, and I'm very happy to see that some people are engaged in the participation, in the preparation of partnerships for Horizon Europe. This is really encouraging, and it is already demonstrating some very good proactivity. Now let's go back to our other presentation. Okay, this is about types of actions, and I'm pretty much convinced that the majority of you know about what we're going to present now, because the changes from Horizon 2020 are not big. Actually, I would say they're not at all. As it was already mentioned, Horizon Europe is an evolution and not a revolution, meaning that the majority of the good practices will continue as they were. So let's try to see a little bit what's going on here. So first of all, when we're talking about actions, we should never forget that there is a European Joint Research Center, the very famous JRC, which is also applying and performing research on behalf of the European Commission. So these are the direct actions. And the indirect actions are the ones that we are getting funding for as partners, as beneficiaries to participate. And practically now we're going to talk about the so-called indirect actions with respect to that. So look at the screen. Does it remind you of something? I think you more or less recognize the majority of the topics from Horizon 2020, because still we have research innovation actions, innovation, a new thing is innovation and market deployment. Then we have still ERC, training and mobility, program co-fund, and so on. Let us, if you allow me, and I know you have lots of exciting presentations to wait afterwards, but let us go through them quickly to refresh a little bit your memory. So, research and innovation actions. Here are the typical ones. We're talking about technology readiness level ranging from 3 to 6 or to 7. Technically speaking, we're talking about creating new knowledge, but also exploring the feasibility of applying this new knowledge. And it may include from basic and applied research to testing and validation of a small-scale prototype in a laboratory or a similar environment. Then, innovation actions, closer to the market, producing plans, arrangements, or designs in order to create and launch new products. This normally includes prototyping, testing, demonstrating, and large-scale validation and market replication. Now, the innovation and market deployment actions, these are the ones who, as you see, they're the ones for the mature and market-ready products. There is a critical point where a company needs to stop validating and needs to go directly for market expansion. And this is the time that we're talking about scaling up of companies. And for this type of actions, a blended finance model, namely a mix of grant and private funding and equity funding, is promoted. Then, of course, the ERC frontier research, this is always going to superstar researchers. This is going to people who have some excellent and groundbreaking research area, and it focuses on the private investigator, the principal investigator who is pushing that forward. Training and mobility, we have seen those. These are aiming at improvement of skills, knowledge, and careers. There is lots of special attention given to young researchers. And also, these training and mobility actions, if you ask me from my experience, this is the best starting point to create collaborations, long-term collaborations that in the future they will yield all the other type of projects. Normally, training and mobility covers only the exchange costs and the living subsidy, the allowance of the researchers when they are moving back and forth. But nevertheless, we consider them extremely important exactly because they put the seed, and then through this seed, we can create more and more collaboration. Program co-fund, we already explained that a little bit earlier. Here, the idea is to bring the funding agencies together in the European Commission and all together to design programs that incorporate all those elements. Many pros and some complications. We have two types of actions that are aiming at the public sector. First is the pre-commercial procurement. This means that the beneficiaries want to experiment with some super innovative solution that is not fully launched in the market yet, but still they would like to get the results and they would like to be early adopters. And then there is another type of action here, which is called public procurement of innovative solution. This is like the solution exists in the market, but still it's innovative. So many public sector organizations, possibly from different countries of Europe, are teaming up together to be able to create the critical mass to procure the solution. Coordination and support actions. These are the actions who are aiming to contribute to the objectives of the Horizon Europe, but they're not aiming to research and innovation. This might be dissemination, awareness raising, collecting information, supporting researchers, introducing policy dialogues, helping people to learn from each other, engage people in co-creation activities. These are the so-called soft actions. These are actions that are exactly aiming to support people, scientists, researchers, groups, companies, in order to get together, to learn more from each other and promote Horizon Europe, but not by purely doing research. And last but not least is the prizes. And we have two types of prizes. The inducement prizes are prizes that they are actually specifying some type of work, and people compete to provide the best solution of the challenge that is specified in order to get the prize. The second is the recognition prize. This is the one which is aiming to recognize and support past achievements and outstanding work, but after it has been performed. So these are the two types of prizes that we can expect to see in Horizon Europe. And I think that before going to my Q&A session, I have one last question for you, if you allow me. Yes. So, what do you think? Which type of actions are more suitable for your organization? Feel free to choose more than one, please. But I want to see many votes here. Okay. Great. Research and innovation seems to be the most popular one. I'm surprised to see that coordination and support is more popular than innovation actions, to be honest with you, but you might know something that I don't know. Okay, we're reaching about 30. Yes, it turns out that research, innovation, and innovation actions are possibly the most popular among Turkish participants. And now I would like to go to the Q&A session, and let me see if we have some questions. So, please feel free to type your questions, if you have any, of course. And we will do our best to answer them. You can use the Zoom application for that. There is a Zoom Q&A dialog box where you can type any question you might have about Horizon Europe so far. So, we don't see any questions. What's the calendar? I think that, Alexander, you demonstrated the calendar in your presentation earlier. Would you like to repeat? What is the current information that we have? What is the most important difference between Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe? That's a very good question. I think missions are the most. Alexander, what do you think? I think that the big difference from the previous situation is the missions.
I would say yes. The mission is something new. Clusters are more or less like challenges, but more interdisciplinary. Hello?
Yes, we can see you.
Yeah, I said that probably missions are the most, it's something completely new in the Horizon Europe. Other parts are known from Horizon 2020, but probably there is more focus on partnerships and yeah, clusters are more or less like challenges, but more interdisciplinary and cross-sectoral, I would say. And of course, difference is more that the Horizon Europe is more targeted on results and implementation of results. And on impact. Impact is now the, the keyword for Horizon Europe. What is the impact of all actions and projects? So that's
okay. Another one is
my comment on that.
yes, please do.
There was one more question.
Yes, there is the one about the calendar. I think we have
calendar. Yeah, I don't know exactly. I know that the mission reports on missions are going to be presented during Research and Innovation Day. So probably they will be published after Research and Innovation Day, after the final round of consultations. And we have still 3 months where Commission should publish also strategic document and implementation document. So it should be published in next 3 months. We should have all documents ready.
Thank you very much. I have now 2 questions that are very interesting, and I would like to also share my opinion, but it's also open. First one is, how can we get prepared in the coming 3 months and what sorts of mechanisms are recommended? First of all, participate in the research and innovation days, like we are going to do, and we're going to present the agenda in another next section. Second, try to gather as much information as possible and try to talk with your already existing partners in the projects you are participating, in the people that you know and you are aware that they are preparing something, to see how this moves. Try, generally speaking, try to, allow me the term, to place your sensors all over the ecosystem so that you get as much information as possible. Because as you know, you already admitted yourself, Horizon Europe is going to be even more competitive than Horizon 2020. And of course, the best proposal that I have for you to prepare yourselves in the next 3 months is please follow the activities of our project, because we're going to make dedicated sessions in many of the topics that we introduced today. We're also going to have focus group trainings. So there will be lots of content for you to follow. Now, do you have to get consultancy for proposal preparation? That it's not easy to say something. It depends. I mean, there are excellent consultants, there are great consultants. I know that TÜBİTAK from time to time supports consultancies, but on the other hand, there are also other ways to do things. You can do lots of stuff by learning from colleagues that have already done it. You can follow activities like ours, or you can find great material all over the network. So it's a decision that you have to make based on your own needs, but also based on the skills and the capacities of the consultants that you will choose, because that's also a very important parameter in the discussion. Now, yes.
Can I add something to the previous question? Because it's a very good question. How can we get prepared for the Horizon Europe? I would also suggest you to identify, to look through the partnerships and identify partnerships which are relevant for your expertise, and get in touch with people who are responsible for partnerships or contact points for specific partnerships, because I expect that a lot of money will be going through partnerships. And if you will be a member of the partnership or closely, let's say, associated with the partnerships, then it will be much easier for you to join the consortia. We have an example from Excel, last Excel call, where we organized National Advisory Group meeting on Excel call. There was more than 100 people participated in Istanbul. And after this meeting with people from there was a project funded with because there are quite big projects and organizations from Turkey joined the consortia, and there were very successful projects and really high contribution in terms of funding. There were more than €1 million contribution to Turkish partners, €1 million in one project. So it's quite substantial funding you can get through partnerships if you are recognized by partnerships and they know your expertise and the role you can play in consortia. So that would be my recommendation regarding participation in Horizon Europe.
We have thank you very much, Alexander. We have another interesting question, which is reflecting what we already discussed. How do we network and how do we establish collaborations during COVID-19 times where we cannot move and we cannot attend meetings? That's a big challenge. And I don't believe, that's my personal opinion, I don't believe we can 100% substitute personal collaboration. However, there is a plethora of networking events. There is also the possibility, due to the virtual nature of the events, to do it without, to have the main events without investing so much money in cost, because the travel costs are significantly reduced. But also keep in mind that we as a project are planning to organize some similar activities. So I encourage you to remain in contact with us, and we will proceed with such activities.
There will be many online meetings organized by different organizations, also by European Commission, and you should join these webinars or partnering events. There will be online events. So of course, it's you have to look for announcements. Sometimes it's not easy to find all these announcements because they are distributing to specific groups of stakeholders, not to all of us. So we have to put more attention on announcements on different websites about the webinars and info days and other types of events. I think there will be more and more such events. Like we had, for example, in August, there was many events organized by European Commission and by partnerships, joint undertakings about their calls. So this is the way to get more information, more detailed information, and from the first hand, let's say.
Okay, great. Let's see what other questions do we have. I don't see any new one. Okay, as this is going more towards innovation, how do you suggest universities should position themselves, especially for innovation calls? But we have to keep in mind, universities are not excluded from innovation calls. On the contrary, I think that this new setup is a great opportunity for universities, because this way they can contaminate, let's say, they can cross-fertilize their activities with the entrepreneurial community. Universities also have technology transfer offices. Some of universities are now working towards technoparks and incubators and accelerators. And I think that this is exactly the great opportunity for universities to make some good collaboration with the entrepreneurial community in innovation actions and remain active into them. Even if their current research is at lower technology readiness levels, there is always ways to establish the value chain and find innovative actions that universities can participate. Let me see if we have any other questions. What is the position of missions in the call? I'm afraid that at this particular moment, we don't have a clear idea on this. This is something that I'm also looking forward to learn once we enter in the research and innovation days and in the upcoming periods. What is, if I understand well your position, is like, how about, for example, for the missions, how are the calls going to be launched? this is something that possibly there will be particular work programs. It's too early to know yet. I don't know, Alexander, do you have some comment?
No, I don't know how it will be organized.
We are asking also for your understanding, because this is technically the first. We are doing a Horizon Europe event even before the Horizon Europe event is announced, exactly in order to prepare the Turkish research ecosystem. But you have to take into account that there are some information that is not known to us yet. Let me see, do we have any more? I don't see any more questions, but still we can have more time for Q&A. I think it's time now, Alexander, to pass the floor to our colleagues from APRE, to Marta and Katerina. I think it's first Marta and then Katerina, is it correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So, Marta.
Now it's European Innovation Council. What's new?
Yes, hello. You should be able to hear me and also maybe see me. I'm trying to check if it works.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Could you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
It's there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here. I'm Marta Calderaro. I'm a national contact point in Horizon 2020 for future and emerging technologies. So now European Innovation Council Pathfinder and ICT. I would like to thank you, Alexander and Gregorius, because they gave to us a really wider frame of what Horizon Europe is going to be in the next future. At the same time, I really would like to stress the point that Gregorius were saying previously, which is actually we are really now trying to get the most updated information regarding Horizon Europe, but since Horizon Europe has not been launched yet, we are actually in a draft phase. So whatever all the information that I'm going to give to you also regarding the European Innovation Council in Horizon Europe draft at the moment has to be considered as a draft and not something that is structured yet. So what are we going to see? Now? I'm going just to talk a bit on the rationale and the context, the frame of the European Innovation Council. Then I'm going to present to you what is in the Pathfinder and Accelerator pilots, the business acceleration services, which at the moment are becoming actually one of the additional services that the European Commission is giving to the European Innovation Council community. And then I'm going to go through the draft of Horizon Europe proposal related to the European Innovation Council. So regarding the rationale, what is the European Innovation Council? The European Innovation Council, as you probably have heard previously from this slide, of course, I've used some of the slide of the European Commission, is based on three main principles. The first principle is related to making to all innovators from the academy or from the market, so from our innovative ecosystem, making available a one-stop shop for breakthrough and disruptive innovators. The second pillar is to support via an agile funding the different paths to innovation. So from the idea, from the construction and the building of the idea to the investment. This has been done through the pilot through pre-existing instruments, the so-called FET Open, FET Proactive, and SME instrument. But now, of course, we have seen in the latest 2 years some differences from those two instruments. So they have been evolved in Pathfinder grants for advanced research on emerging technologies, and the accelerator instrument for innovative startups, as well as the direct connection to the venture capitalist and of course, the InvestEU program that we have heard previously in the presentation. Then the third pillar is mainly related to building the ecosystem and the communities around the European Innovation Council. So as I was making as an introduction in the agenda, we have shown the business acceleration services, so access to mentoring and advisory services from the Enterprise Europe Network, from the European Institute for Innovation and Technologies and their related knowledge innovation communities. But we have also shown the launch of the program managers, as well as the prizes for breakthrough innovation in the frame of the European Innovation Council. So basically the European Innovation Council pilot has been based on two main pillars: the Pathfinder pilot from the previous FET Open and FET Proactive, so coming from the Future and Emerging Technologies program, which was under the first pillar, the Excellence IM pillar of Horizon 2020, and the Accelerator pilot, which was based on the SME instrument, mainly phase 2, and the Fast Track to Innovation instrument. So within the structure of the European Innovation Council pilot, and we are going to see within the latest slide how this is going also to in a way to evolve in Horizon Europe. We have a direct support to visionary ideas for developing radical technologies within the FET Open and the FET Proactive schemes. Of course, here we are talking about grant-only financial instruments, and I would like also to stress we are talking about collaborative instruments. That means that we have seen the research and innovation actions that has been funded. Within the accelerator pilot, in the first phase of the accelerator pilot within this SME instrument, phase 2, we have shown a support to the consortium, consortia of SME. Now, this has been evolved in a single SME that is going to be supported through the accelerator pilot through different instruments, the grant-only option or the blended finance option, so the grant plus the equity fund. And in this case, the support is dedicated to radically new, high-risk ideas that are commercially viable, and as well that has the potential to be scaled up. Within both the Pathfinder pilot and the Accelerator pilot, we have the business acceleration services that are aimed to giving advices through coaching, mentoring, and business acceleration services to all the SMEs that are participating in both the Pathfinder and the Accelerator pilot. Of course, as a transversal support, we have the European Innovation Council Horizon prizes and these related supported actions that has been launched within those 3 years. I would like just for you to remember that the EIC pilot has been launched in 2018 and has been really supported within the 2019 and 2020 this year. So, which was the first pilot phase launched in 2018 and 19? At first, the introduction of the open support, so a bottom-up approach for startups and SMEs, defined in both the Fetch Open, so the Pathfinder pilot, and within the Accelerator pilot within the SME instrument. We have seen the introduction of the interviews within the Accelerator. So in the evaluation process, there has been this really relevant introduction of these further step within the evaluation process dedicated to make a direct interview with the experienced innovators and investors in order to identify the most suitable SMEs able to get funding within the Accelerator pilot. As I was mentioning, we have seen the launch of major prizes. Different prizes has been launched right now. As far as I remember, we have shown at least 4 prizes that has been launched. Then there was a really relevant increase in terms of budget of 1 billion in 2019, and the inclusion of the FET proactive dedicated scheme to the transition to innovation activities within the European Innovation Council Pathfinder. So a direct call dedicated to support the transition to innovation, actually, from Pathfinder to Accelerator. We have shown the appointment of the EIC Pilot Advisory Board, which has started his works within July 2019. And within those 1 year, we could say within this year, they have been started to launch guidelines. Then they have launched their vision on a fully fledged EIC, and then they have updated their vision and roadmap within a fully fledged European Innovation Council in Horizon Europe. We have seen, of course, the introduction within the pilot accelerator of the blended finance option, the combination of the grant and equity fund. And we have also seen the recruitment of the first EIC program managers, those experts dedicated to support the innovation ecosystem building around emerging and disruptive technologies coming from the Pathfinder projects, but of course dedicated also to support it in the accelerator phase. So the final pilot phase in 2020 have shown an increased budget of 1.4 billion in 2020. As I was mentioning, the EIC Advisory Board has launched its vision and roadmap for implementing the European Innovation Council within Horizon Europe. We have also shown the specific accelerator call dedicated to the Green Deal, but also dedicated to the pandemic, and the pilot instrument dedicated to the women innovators under as well the EIC Accelerator pilot. As well as in terms of accelerator, the establishment of the European Innovation Council Fund dedicated to support the equity investment, so the blended finance option under the EIC Accelerator pilot. And in terms of supporting the innovation ecosystems around the European Innovation Council, we have also seen the collaboration mechanism, the test of collaboration mechanism within the EIC and the European Institute of Technology and Innovation Knowledge Innovation Communities. So based on this, what is hidden on the EIC instruments? As I was mentioning previously, the European Innovation Council is supporting the all the technology readiness levels, from the concept of the breakthrough idea and breakthrough technologies that is hidden within this idea, to the market deployment. So we can see from this slide that we have the European Innovation Council Pathfinder, FET Open and FET Proactive, that is supporting the first technology readiness levels of a technology. Then we have shown within the EIC Pathfinder the launch of the transition to innovation activities and the FET Innovation Launchpad, which is trying to get a direct connection between the technology validated in a relevant environment and the demonstration in an operational environment. Within the EIC Accelerator and the Fast Track to Innovation, we can see that this support has been held within the technology readiness level 6 up to the market deployment. So within the equity, the blended finance option, the market uptake and the related deployment of the technology. So let's see a bit which are the different instruments that are currently available in the pilot and how they are going to be connected with the fully fledged Horizon Europe, European Innovation Council. So regarding the Pathfinder pilot, as I was mentioning before, the Pathfinder pilot is supporting research and innovation, but as well as innovative companies that are supporting the emergence of future and emerging technologies that can be that can have a relevant impact within the market on a long-term view. So this is supporting via collaborative schemes, via a grant option, so basically with research and innovation actions. And of course, within the evolution of the pilot phase in 2020, there is a direct connection between the Pathfinder and the Accelerator funding in order to mature these technologies and to giving them a relevant scale up to the different spin-off and SME participating in the Pathfinder pilot. So the EIC Pathfinder has been structured within the pilot phase, has been structured in different schemes. We have shown the FET Open bottom-up scheme, which was mainly dedicated through an agile funding of research and innovation action of 3 million per project supporting, which was directly related to support a proposal that has a radical vision, breakthrough technological target, and as well as ambition, interdisciplinary, and I would like to add high-risk research. The FET Proactive scheme was mainly based on a top-down approach where the European Commission was defining a comprehensive package of specific topics where high-risk interdisciplinary research was mainly aimed to consolidate emerging technologies and to consolidate the ecosystem, the research and innovation ecosystem that was mainly based on these emerging technological trends. Then within the pilot phase, we have shown the introduction of this transition to innovation activities. I would like to remember one specific thing about this. There was one topic that was launched, only one topic that was launched in November 2019, which was dedicated to the transition to innovation activities. mainly based to support the exploitation and the further technological development of a fact open and fact proactive result that was previously funded by the European Commission. And then we have now the call of the Innovation Launchpad, which was already launched in 2018 and 2019. And this is the latest call that we have with deadline the 14th of October, which is dedicated to supporting the exploitation of a result from a fact open RIA and fact proactive RIA project, dedicated to support through an agile funding. We have here 100,000 euros dedicated to market analysis, business case development, technologies assessment activities, as well as the business case development of previous results. So what about the EIC Accelerator? I'm going now through the EIC Accelerator funding. Within the EIC Accelerator pilot, we have shown the support through a blended finance option of the most promising innovative ideas, as well as of the most promising innovative companies, so startups, spin-off, as well as small and medium enterprises and mid-caps that could have and receive from different instrument, a grant option or a grant plus equity option, a support on their innovative ideas. So the accelerator pilot, as I was mentioning before, has been based on the SME instrument, the previous SME instrument. Here, within the accelerator pilot, we can see that individual SME with high risky, high growth potential can be supported within the accelerator pilot. This is mainly dedicated through substantial funding for the latest stages of development, as I was mentioning before, and with a bottom-up approach. So all sectors, all types of innovations in terms of products, services, as well as new business models can be supported. The activities here that are mainly supported has been a technology readiness levels from 6 to 8, more or less. In terms of the grant, the sole grant option. So here we can see that we have from 500,000 million to 500,000 euros from to 2.5 million a dedicated funding in the form of the innovation action type of action. Within the equity option, so the form of the blended finance, we can have the support from TRL 6 until to TRL 9, so the market deployment. And in this case, the grant option within the equity option can bring to a support for a maximum of 15 million dedicated support from the European Commission. But this support is dedicated with the equity option, where basically the European Innovation Council and the European Commission is becoming an investor of the dedicated innovation that has been supported through the European Innovation Council equity option. So how this is structured? Basically, as we have shown also from the previous slides from our colleagues, The European Innovation Council Fund has been structured and has been launched on June 2020, so a few months ago. The European Innovation Council Fund has been structured in order to support with a tailor-made investment the different companies and the different projects' needs. Mainly, the support here is dedicated to guarantee a wider support on the management and governance structure of the company, as well as the financial planning and the capital structure, as well as the business strategy and the competition to bring these innovative results to the market. Basically, here the European Commission, as I was mentioning before, takes the investment decision on supporting the SME and the dedicated idea with a up to 15 million equity fund. The equity type of instruments are flexible, so we can see that there are going to be shares, convertibles, or other equity types of supporting. And the EIC fund has been basically structured on the basis of a specific advisor from the European Investment Bank that is going to decide the type of instrument, of equity instrument, the type of different funding rate of the SME, as well as the different balance in terms of grant and blended finance options. So the next European Innovation Council Accelerator pilot cutoff date is going to be launched with deadline on the 7th of October. Probably there is going also to be a next call, which is going to be held and which has to be confirmed in April 2021. So in the next, within the fully fledged Horizon Europe. So as I was mentioning previously, we have shown also within the Accelerator pilot and the Pathfinder pilot, the launch of the business acceleration services. Which are the business acceleration services and what type of services are dedicated to those small and medium enterprise under the European Innovation Council? So at first, we can mention the coaching. So the coaching and the mentoring related services has been held by mainly by Enterprise Europe Network, but also by different mentors and coaches that has been identified within the different knowledge and innovation communities in the EIT, as well as within the EIC community. We have shown the launch of the EIC community platform, which I'm going to talk in a while, and the launch also of the EIC events, for example, the EIC corporate days. So with those different EIC pilot business acceleration services, the European Commission is trying to support the community building and the innovation ecosystem building around the different innovative results launched in the EIC. So we can see that within the EIC community, beside the mentoring and coaching, beside the corporate days, we are going to have a different structure of services. We have the corporate partnership programs. We have the procurement partnership program, which is mainly dedicated to make a direct connection within the public administration and the European Innovation Council community. The investor partnership program, which is of course dedicated to support the direct connection with venture capitalists and business angels in Europe. We have soon the launch of the new overseas trade fairs programs, which is mainly dedicated to connect and guarantee through the possibilities to go in other continents to make a connection with the EIC community and the exploitation opportunities in other continents. We have soon the launch of the greenhouse gas neutrality program, mainly dedicated to support the relevant ambition of the European Commission dedicated to the Green Deal. We have seen from Gregorius' presentation a direct support in Horizon Europe to these ambitious goals, and the launch of the European Innovation Council Escalator program. So within the business acceleration services as a whole, as a whole package, the European Innovation Council community is going to be, I would say, a comprehensive framework to support the direct connection from research results to the market deployment of those different results. So let's now go through the Horizon Europe structure of the European Innovation Council. As you have seen, the European Innovation Council, which was launched by Carlos Moedas, the previous commissioner for research and innovation, and which has now been taken by Marilia Gabriel, the current commissioner for innovation, research, culture, education and youth. The European Innovation Council has been basically made as one of the main pillar and main evolution within Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe program. We have seen that the European Innovation Council is going to be one of the main elements of the third pillar, the Innovative Europe pillar, the third pillar of Horizon Europe. And actually, the fully fledged European Innovation Council under Horizon Europe is going to be structured based on a different set of principles. At first, the European Innovation Council is going to be a legally established council. So, as we have a European Research Council, we are going to have a European Innovation Council dedicated entity, which a dedicated governance with a European Innovation Council president and an independent board, which is going to set the strategy, which is going to advise on the European Innovation Council work programs, and is going to oversee the full implementation of the European Innovation Council as it goes to be launched. What does it mean? It means that there is going also to be a dedicated entity that is going to support the direct implementation of the European Innovation Council. So the creation of a one-stop shop dedicated board, dedicated agency, I would say. At the moment, I would like to remember to you that the current pilot has seen the EIC task force within the Directorate General on Research and Innovation, where we have the direct connection from the Research Executive Agency for the FET Open scheme, the direct connection with the EASME for the accelerator pilot, the connection within DG Connect, which is supporting the implementation of the proactive related goals in the Pathfinder. So what is going to be done within the fully fledged European Innovation Council is that we are going to have the evolution of the EIC task force and the evolution of the different agencies, the EASME agency and the dedicated EIC task force REA dedicated team, which are going to support a direct implementation in a I would say a consolidated manner, where we are going to have only one structured actor for supporting the implementation of the European Innovation Council. The proposed budget for the European Innovation Council is 10 billion. Which is going to be mainly dedicated to the bottom-up dedicated calls, so the Pathfinder and the Accelerator pilot open calls. But we are going also to have the targeted calls dedicated to support the strategic technologies as well as strategic challenges. The word challenges is going to be one of the main evolution within the pilot and the fully fledged European Innovation Council. Then we are going to have a fully designed accelerator. Fully designed accelerator, what it means is going to be maintain the blended finance option within the grant only or the equity only option. And we are going to have the transition activities that are going to make a direct connection between the Pathfinder to the accelerator. We are going to have more flexible rules for the selection and the funding. What does it mean? This is actually something really important, because we are going to have within the Pathfinder as well as the accelerator the possibility to reorient the objectives of a funded project, the possibility of course to stop, but this is not something that we do not have in Horizon 2020, but the reorientation is something that is quite relevant in terms of accelerator funding. There is going to be the possibility to make a direct link within the InvestEU program. And we are going to have, as we have seen in the pilot phase of Horizon 2020 EIC, an increased role of the program managers. The program managers, which are going to be to act as, I would say, an innovation scout. Trying to find the direct connection of the different innovations within the Pathfinder projects and the accelerator projects, and make them connected through the innovation ecosystems around Europe on a European scale, but also on a regional scale. We are going to have the fast track access for Horizon grant holders. What does it mean? This is actually something really important, and this is actually under discussion at the moment, because there is the perception and the possibility that the European Research Council proof of concept grant holders can be also supported via the transition within the EIC Pathfinder, but also supported via the accelerator, the fully fledged accelerator. At the same time, also the grant holders that has been supported via the EIT and the different communities around the knowledge and innovation communities in Europe can have a fast track access to the accelerator, the fully fledged accelerator. And then we have the European Innovation Council Forum with the member states' innovation agencies. This is actually something that, of course, is going to make a direct connection with the national strategies to support innovation in order to make a comprehensive package of support in terms and also to be aligned within the European dedicated policies as well as the national dedicated policies. So actually the Horizon Europe structure dedicated to the European Innovation Council is going to be defined in three main pillars: the Pathfinder pillar, the transition pillar, and the accelerator pillar. I would like to make to make an highlight on this. The transition, at the moment, the transition dedicated instruments are not clear if they are going to be part of the budget of the Pathfinder or not, or be just separated. So in order to simplify for you the presentation, I have made those three pillars, but please take into account that the transition could be also part of the Pathfinder program. So the Pathfinder dedicated pillar is going to be to support mainly, as I was mentioning before, the open schemes through both collaborative projects, so through research and innovation actions, but also through probably mono-beneficiary schemes. This is actually under discussion because, of course, not all the member states at the moment agree on this. So to make a Pathfinder open scheme based on a mono-beneficiary scheme. So we can see on the current draft that the Pathfinder open scheme could be basically collaborative, but also mono-beneficiary. We have then the Pathfinder challenges. What are those challenges? The challenges are basically based on the principle of the previous FET proactive schemes. So based on a top-down approach, where the European Commission and on the basis of the advices from the EIC board, as well as the EIC program managers, as well as from the direct observation and mapping exercise of which are the main technological trends, dedicated technological trends of the future, the European Commission could identify relevant challenges in terms of high-risk research and innovation. The Pathfinder introduces also the business acceleration services dedicated to commercialize relevant results that can be, of course, an option, on a voluntary basis of the Pathfinder grant holders, which have the possibility to identify a 50k euros additional grant to support the commercialization of a relevant result that came up from their Pathfinder project. Then we have the transition dedicated instruments. The transition dedicated instruments are basically based on 4 potential pathways. 4 potential pathways dedicated to the transition to technology, the transition to entrepreneurship, and the transition of course, to the market, as well as the transition via licensing. So the transition activities at the moment in the latest draft that we have of Horizon Europe, we do not have evidence about the possible grant dedicated to the transition, the possible dedicated budget as an overall for the transition pillar. We do not have different information regarding also the type of actions that are going to be identified here. But we have for sure the identification of the potential type of entities that can be funded under the transition scheme. So here we are going to have the possibility for universities, research organization, as well as small and medium enterprise, mid-caps, but also big enterprises to collaborate within the transition pillar. The same, of course, also via the Pathfinder. In both, we have the possibility to collaborate in collaborative projects or presenting proposals via mono-beneficiary schemes. And the mono-beneficiary schemes are dedicated solely to the innovative SMEs. Then we have the accelerator related pillar. The accelerator pillar is going to be for sure the one that is going to have a wider budget on the renewed structure of the European Innovation Council. We do not have at the moment evidence about the budget, the overall budget dedicated to the different instruments. We know for sure that the grant only and the blended finance options are going to be maintained. As we have seen in the current pilot phase within the Green Deal dedicated accelerator call, we have shown that the accelerator pilot and the future accelerator will be, of course, taking advantage from the previous example. We have shown that the accelerator has demonstrated its flexibility to be reoriented in terms of different European priorities, for example, the Green Deal, but also for the pandemic, the current pandemic that we are facing globally. So the accelerator is going to have also the dedicated challenges based on a top-down approach, on the basis of the different evidence that are going to be identified via the program managers, the mapping exercise, and the EIC board advices. So on the has transversal aspects, we can see that what we have shown from the dedicated business acceleration services that are currently relevant on the EIC Council pilot are going to be, of course, developed further and to be strengthened in the renewed structure of the European Innovation Council. we can see that there are options to make a direct evidence to the EIC Business Acceleration Services to go globally. We can see that there are going to be, as was mentioned before, and also I would like to remember also is one of the relevant focus of this specific open deadline for the accelerator pilot. We are going to have a focus on the women entrepreneurship. We are going to have, of course, an alignment within the European relevant ambitions of the European Commission. So we have the Green Deal and the European priorities. Of course, we are going to see also a support in the future dedicated to solutions, innovative solutions for the current pandemic, if we are not going to hopefully close this pandemic previously. Then we are going to have a direct support on the links with the public administration, so the innovation, the innovative procurement, as well as the research and innovation ecosystems. And here I would like to mention that there is going to be a direct connection within the EIT knowledge and innovation community, but also we have a proposed partnership, which is the Innovative SMEs Dedicated Partnership, which is going to be also supported via the third pillar of Horizon Europe, and is going to be a direct connection within the European Innovation Council. So I'm going to close my presentation now, just giving to you some references and some sources. So of course, here you have the links of the European Innovation Council dedicated webpage and the EASME dedicated webpage. I would like to give you also an information about all the relevant grants that has been funded up to now within the European Innovation Council. So the European Innovation Council community has made available the EIC Pathfinder Data Hub and the EIC Accelerator Data Hub, where you have the opportunity to see all the different projects that has been funded in the different schemes. And I would like also to mention the dedicated NCP network, which HAPRE has the honor to lead, dedicated to the European Innovation Council, which is called the Access to EIC NCP network, which actually has been organized and launched several instruments dedicated to the current deadlines that are now open. So I have just cited two different information for the Pathfinder. We have the open call dedicated to the FAT Innovation Launchpad, and we have made an info day just a few days ago, as well as in terms of the EIC Accelerator pilot has been launched the annotated template in order to support the proposal writing of the EIC Accelerator proposals. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention. And of course, as you have seen, there are relevant information that are going to be up to date in the next future. So I launched this possible opportunity. I think that it would be reasonable to see each other in the future to check which are going to be the latest information on the European Innovation Council and the third pillar as a whole of Horizon Europe. So thank you all.
Okay, Thank you, Marta, for your presentation. I think we have to move to the next presentation. Now we have Katerina about developments in NCP system. Yes, Katerina, the floor.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I will just need to share my slides. Do you see the first slide with the title?
Presentation. Go to presentation mode.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So good morning to this audience. I see that we have many participants, so I also have to deduct that this is not a totally NCP crowd, but that we have researchers and entrepreneurs. And I also guess that I've met some of the participants of today's event during our last training in Ankara in February. So it's a pleasure to, let's say, be in touch with this circle of people. Today and this time I've been asked to give you some information about the national contact point and the horizon to the new program, Horizon Europe. I would say that to be really useful, probably the first question you might have is, will there be an NCP system in the next framework program, Horizon Europe? Second question could be, have they been nominated yet? This is also probably something you wonder as we are now in September 2020. Another curiosity could be, what are the NCP of Horizon 2020 doing at the moment during the process of preparation and ending of preparation of the new program? And then fourth question could be, what will be the core functions of the NCPs in the framework program that will start soon? So in my presentation, I will try to be useful on one side, giving information also to the Turkish colleague, to the NCP that are now busy also in Turkey in following these processes, and also to the researchers and entrepreneurs that are present into the event. So of course, you know information about our agency. It is just important to say that we are now the host organization for Horizon 2020 National Contact Point in Italy, and that of course we wish that our nomination will be soon confirmed for Horizon Europe. The main issues today in these 20 minutes, 15 minutes together are listed here. And our agency, APRE, has shown a strong commitment in these years, also by trying to, let's say, influence the European Commission, the Parliament, during the proposal preparation of the new program. And I will show you how in one of the following slides. The NCP core functions, as I said, this is important for you to know what these functions will be. They will change, they will widen, or they will be more strict. NCP guidelines, this is an important topic, both for NCPs in Turkey and all over the world. This is really the document which is regulating our tasks, our work, and I will show you some bits of these guidelines, which at the moment are only in a draft version. NCP nominations, this is very important because by now there are only NCP for Horizon 2020, and we have the nomination only of one type of NCP up to now, which are the legal and financial NCP for Horizon Europe. So there is a tentative timeline for nomination, okay, just to anticipate this now is that by November, probably the European Commission will ask to all the member state associated countries the nomination of their NCP teams. NCP networks and funding, this is also a big issue because of course national contact points are working in networks, and they are generally belonging to some projects themselves which are dedicated only and exclusively to NCPs. And so the funding of this project is also a very good point of attention for NCPs at the moment, because if we want to do transnational activities for clients, for researchers, we would need also to be funded ourselves in a certain way by the European Commission. So here you see that we talk about topics for NCPs in the new work programs. And this is something we are working on at the moment in this phase, because as you know, some work programs for the new programs of Horizon 2020 are of course being written now. They are being written by European Commission on one side, by the member state on the other, and the program committees. So in this phase, we also as national contact point are monitoring what's happening to also be sure that in the future our project will be funded. A bridging project, this is also an issue of today. I think it's important for national contact point in Turkey and in Europe and everywhere in the world then to get in touch with this project. It's a project which is called the Bridge to Horizon Europe, and it will actually be a bridge to the next framework program for NCPs, for different activities that I will show you during my presentation. So these are the 6 topics that I would like to bring to your attention. As I said, our agency has really been monitoring that the national contact points were taken into consideration already during the proposal to the Parliament, which was written in 2018. We really paid attention to what the Commission was writing, and when we were working with our, let's say, maps, the Italian parliamentarian, when we were commenting the text, we always made sure that the national contact point were mentioned as a support structure for researchers and for entrepreneurs. As you see on the right of the slide, we were proposing amendments to the text proposed by the Commission, and the NCP were mentioned by us. The NCP guidelines, this is really mainly of use for the national contact point in Turkey, but also for the community who will use the services of the national contact point also in the future. This is really the Bible, let's say, or the document which will guide us in the next 7 years. The document which will be published once is of course final and will be available also for researchers and entrepreneurs to consult. Context, mission, key principle and minimum standards that each member state should build to allow their national contact point to work. Point number 4 is what can be of interest today also for you to know, core function of an NCP. Probably you have known and you know your Turkish national contact point by now, and you know what their services are. If we look at these NCP guidelines, which European Commission has been drafting, you see that the services will be absolutely confirmed. So of course the information part, is a very important part for the NCP. So organizing info days, webinars, the training part. Also, the NCP will be also entitled to train and coach their researchers with proposal preparation, with partner search, with anyway all the different aspects that the participation is implying, like how to manage your contract, how to deal with intellectual property, and so on. And one third function I would mention today is the networking. You mentioned before, many of you were asking, how do we prepare ourselves? How do we do the networking now that meeting in person is difficult? I have to say that during 2021, probably the events will keep on being virtual. For obvious reasons. We don't know for how long, but for sure, NCPs will be entitled to organize you remember the brokerage events that we were having in Brussels or in countries in Europe. And some of the NCP networks have been already experimenting this virtual service during the last call of 2020. So I can tell you that there will be in 2021 in spring already the first virtual matchmaking events that we will organize together with the commission service. So you see also the number 5 of this list, cooperation between NCPs and commission services. This is mainly for NCPs interest, but we have been asking to European Commission to be more cooperative, to be closer to NCPs in terms of information that they give us, data, statistics, but I will show you in one of the next slides. Nomination and recognition process. This is important now because, of course, without the nomination and the recognition, we cannot do much when it comes to Horizon Europe. So we wait anxiously for this November nomination letter request. Confidentiality, as you know, the NCP are obliged to work according to some confidentiality rules. When you come to us with your research ideas, we would not be entitled to share it with anyone else for obvious reasons. So whenever you talk to NCP, you have to be, of course, you have to be sure that the information is not shared on the research point of view, unless, of course, you ask us to share it with other possible participants to your research project. Conflict of interest, this is also high important. This is one of the novelties of these NCP guidelines for the future. The European Commission has been pressed to include this article because NCP should not be in situation of conflict of interest because they are helping researchers and entrepreneurs. So in many cases, they cannot be involved personally in research proposal. The annex to this guideline is showing the NCP structure. So basically how the NCP will be, structure will be organized in reflection of the new Horizon Europe proposal. This is what we see, the NCP structure, around 17 programs. You see that there are NCP coordinator, as always, as the first head of all these team of people. Legal and financial NCPs are the second, and these have been already nominated. So in your country, in every country, there is a legal and financial NCP already for Horizon Europe. They will have to deal, as you see here, already it's mentioned, to gender equality, open access, open science, research and innovation integrity. So the legal and financial NCP will have a broader, how to say, scope. And this is already evident in these draft guidelines. Mainly, there is a continuation of structure. There are no big changes in the structure of NCPs. Beside, as you see that there is a European Research Council NCP, Marie Slodowska infrastructure. The FET NCP, as you heard from Marta, have been basically joining the European Innovation Council NCP system, number 12 of this list. Then you see that there are clusters: the health, the inclusive society, the civil security for society, digital industry and space, climate, energy and mobility, food, bioeconomy, and natural resources. So in a certain way, you see that the NCPs have been rationalized because the clusters have been joining different sectors of research, especially you see number 9, 10 and 11, you see that different sectors of research have been clustered, and so the NCPs have been clustered as well into this system. The widening participation NCPs is still there: the Euratom with fission and fusion, the Joint Research Center, and we have some new probably NCP structure coming out, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, the number 17. So this is what I wanted to show about the NCP structure for the new program. This number 5 is really showing that the Commission, the European Commission, considers the NCP an important partners in the implementation of Horizon Europe. So for sure, we will be there accompanying clients throughout the new program. Since the launch of the program, we are again named as ambassadors for Horizon Europe, perceived as true and impartial partners of the Commission services and its agencies. As you know, the Commission services will have even more agencies for the management of the program in the future. So we will have, as NCPs, sometimes to interact also with the agencies and not only with Commission services. We have been asking as national contact point to European Commission to improve our services, to improve what we can give to our clients, to our research community. So we were really asking Commission to inform us timely about the changes they do on the funding and tender portal, which will stay a big channel for you to get all the information. We want to be informed on the roadmaps they create, the work programs, and the upcoming calls. This is something which sometimes is not enough timely for us, so we hope that in the next program we will be even more ready to assist you. A point I would like to stress is the statistics of calls and evaluation. All researchers are asking us always if we have statistics, if we have evaluation lists, and we think that this material, although confidential, is really crucial to do our job in a good way. So we are stressing this point, and this was included in the guidelines. So this means that the European Commission is really also agreeing on this. As you see, instrument and tools for promoting the calls, brokerage event, proposal template that will be helpful for you, guide for applicants with our comments. We will be developing this material to assist you better. Of course, we also should give information on other research and innovation programs which are not Horizon Europe. You know there is a digital program, there is a EU for Health program. There are different European programs which are very related to Horizon Europe. So we will also try to inform clients about this. In particular, after the applicant information of their evaluation results, the member state and associated country NCP coordinators will receive information on the proposal and their outcome. NCPs in third countries will receive aggregated data. So this is an important also modification in the NCP guidelines. It will be important that the coordinator in the country associated or member state will receive all this information, because these are really instrumental to also, I would say, raise the success rate in each country for the participation to the calls. Nomination and recognition process. Okay, this is really mainly for the NCPs in Turkey. There is an email address. There is a process that the European Commission will ask us in the month of November, probably. Conflict of interest. It's important that the European Commission stresses here that an NCP must not participate in a proposal or in a project in relation to the work program part where he provides his NCP services. There are some exceptional circumstances which are indicated, so meaning the participation in a call of the European partnerships or in a dedicated coordination support action where we work to services of transnational cooperation between NCPs. In these cases, NCPs can participate to the project. Bridge to Horizon Europe. This is important for you to know because let's say that it's a preview here because the project has not started yet. So it's really a novelty soon to come. Some of you might have known the NCP Academy project dedicated to NCPs mainly, to capacity building of the NCPs. And this is absolutely the next successor of this NCP Academy, which will be starting in November 2020. So it's really soon the start of this project. Many activities are dedicated to all Horizon Europe nominated NCPs. So as you see, this will go in parallel with the nomination of the new NCP. What is the offer of this project is really to give a branding to Horizon Europe NCPs, which is common to everybody. We are building an accessible repository of tools and services for NCPs, but also for participants. That's why I'm also presenting it today. We will develop tools which are services which are going to serve better our researchers. Of course, I cannot tell you much about what we will do because in November we will start deciding what are the products we want to deliver, but for sure it will be for the benefit of the research community. Our objective, which were of course dictated by European Commission, is to also create a Horizon Europe NCP portal where all the NCPs for any sector are finding the relevant information, where they can publish the events they organize, and so on. This project is also a project which is dedicated to the design and the performance of the NCP system. So as you see, the keywords of this second bullet point are NCP system design. So this is really interesting, especially for NCP coordinators in each member state or associated country. The project is, of course, willing to train to do capacity building. So we really want that now the gap of knowledge for NCPs in the transition from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe is filled. And this project will be the only responsible one to basically train and do capacity building for, I tell you now, for the next 16 months. So November 2020 we start and we end after 16 months. At that point, other thematic networks will probably replace and continue the work. To deliver the key NCP transnational tool and services to participants in 2021 calls. So again, here there is a block of the activity which is dedicated to tools we will use. I show you here this in red, as I said, is a preview, so it's also in a way not informal information also for Turkish NCPs, that we will have a budget to fund the NCPs who are not, of course, part of the project to participate to all the activities. Now, in this moment where the traveling is probably not advisable, we will see how to convert this budget and in what way to use it to, in a way, make us feel closer and in more in presence. This is also a bit how our Horizon Europe portal will look like. And the windows, these doors you see are basically the services we will offer. So as we said, training for NCPs, but also for clients in some occasions, events, we will organize the virtual matchmaking events for the first year, the tools and the services database for NCPs, and the NCP design box. So each of the NCPs will have his own repository of information. So this was really the idea I got when I was asked to talk about the NCPs in Horizon Europe. This Bridge to Horizon Europe, you will hear about it soon, and it is funded by DG RTD. So this gives me the opportunity also to tell the NCPs who are present in this webinar, the Turkish NCPs, is that, as you know, DG RTD is trying to centralize as much as possible the funding of projects dedicated to us, to NCPs. But of course, there are other directors general that will influence the process and will fund their own networks. We think about the security NCPs with DG Home or others funded by DG Connect or DG Grow. So in this moment, we are monitoring all that is happening and what the Commission wants to do with our networks and with the funding to our networks. It is, of course, still a running discussion, so we don't have certain steps, but we know for now there is Bridge to Horizon Europe to assist us and our clients. So this is my email in case you want to address me on the possible evolution of this NCP discussion towards Horizon Europe. Thank you.
Alexander, this is...
Okay. Yeah.
Katerina, thank you very much for your presentation, and especially there are more than 12 NCP right now here. We were listening to you and we were looking forward to your presentation. So thank you again. And we have some questions, and thank you very much for Marta also. Our EIC NCPs were also here. So our NCPs will send you questions on Q&A right now. But I have some questions regarding to, you mentioned that Bridge to Horizon Europe project. So who is the coordinator of this project?
Yes, the coordinator of this project is Spain, the Ministry of Science and Technology of Spain, who participated with the different funding organization in Spain. So basically it's one coordinator who is including different third parties who basically are all NCPs or host organization in Spain. And we have 21 partners who were already working in the NCP Academy 1 and 2, but there is a good proportion of newcomers. So it's a good mix. Now, I don't think I had a slide on the countries, but it's 21. And yeah, as you know, Turkey is not among the beneficiary of the project, but of course all the NCPs are then entitled to use the services of the project.
So, is there any associated country who is part of this project, or just the member state countries are part of this project?
I think there is a proportion also of associated, but yeah, now not having the list here.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
check.
You mentioned also in 2021 there might be thematic area focused NCP projects. Is that clear by the
Yes.
Commission? Are they going to publish thematic area NCP networks? Because I remember that 2 years ago they were not optimistic about this. So right now, what their position about this?
Yeah, this is really an important phase for this discussion. And actually, 1 week ago, I was again trying to solicitate a bit different partners in Europe, the other NCPs, to know what is the situation. So we know for sure that Bridge to Horizon is the 16-month action which will offer capacity building to all the NCPs. No, every sector, every cluster. There are, in the meanwhile, some running NCP projects still. So there is the one Marta mentioned, the access to EIC, and they are running still until 2021. Marie Slodowska, they still have a running project. Secure Societies, they still have a running project. So on one side, we have to still think that these projects are running, but on the other side, we are trying to push our program committee members in the different programs to include a topic also in the clusters. In the clusters, it's very important. And for example, this process has been launched already in, I would say, August. In some cases, the health cluster has proposed through the program committee that we want to have a thematic network funded in the first 2 years of the new program. We had the same request for the security cluster, and actually the security cluster has gained a topic, it seems, in the work program, but this is managed by DG Home, or not DG RTD. Basically, the issue is DG RTD wants to centralize, while the other Director General are more available to support topics for NCPs. So we don't have any certainties for several clusters. We are monitoring this.
Okay, that's very important because TÜBİTAK is part of most of the NCP projects.
Yeah.
We are very happy with the collaboration and being part of the NCP project. So that's why we don't want to miss the thematic cluster, not thematic anymore, cluster-based NCP projects in the future. So this is important for us. Thank you very much for the question. And also my colleague Serkan also asked, do we have any associated country bridge to NCP? Maybe later on, can you send us the list of the project partners by email? Is that possible? So the partners information in the NCP network for the bridge.
Yeah, no problem. It will be anyway public soon. We are now planning a kickoff, but it will be in November. 1st of November, the project will be running.
Okay.
But I will send you the partner list, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So my colleague Serkan, again, we have some interest in NCP system design. We may have contributed to that work package. Okay, you said that the project is still going to be open to new partners. Is that correct? I understand or not?
No, open to new partner in terms of joining the consortium. I would say no in general, unless there is any, how to say, switch of partners during the kicking off of the project. But we have an allocated budget for external, let's say, collaborations with all the NCPs. So as you see, there is this 1,400,000 allocated for traveling to involve any other NCPs in the activity. Now that we know for sure that the traveling won't be as intensive,
Yes.
there is a huge budget in terms of resources also to give to other non-beneficiaries. So I'm sure that in each of the 4 doors you've seen, the 4 blocks of the project, other non-beneficiaries will be called to contribute. This is really the principle of the project. This is a project which should have resources for all the NCPs. So the 20 partners are just setting the work, and then the other NCPs can join in different, because we will also organize many, you know, the typical meet and exchange. Unfortunately, everything seems to be virtual, but we will talk a lot with the other countries.
Yeah, that's actually applicable for our project also. We are doing all the events online now, so we get used to. So I would like to mention that our other NCPs also have some specific questions to you. They will back you back by email later on. So thank you for your help. So, and also we have another question from Serhat Melik, who is Transport NCP.
Thank you very much, Ara. Hello, Katarina. Thank you very much for your kind, very nice presentation. What I'd like to ask, you also mentioned that there are clusters in the structure of NCP, for instance, let's say climate, energy, and mobility. Is there a NCP limitation for each cluster? I mean, do you think that there will be 3 separate NCP for each thematic area in climate, energy, and transport, or only one NCP covering all of the thematic areas?
This is, of course, something that all of us have been wondering for many months. And let's say that now we know that European Commission is delegating to the member states or associated country to decide the number of NCPs per cluster, and how to organize internally your own team, because we have been monitoring how the comitology. So we have seen that the nomination of the program committee member, has been reflecting still the cluster, meaning that for the cluster transport, climate, energy, there are 3 nominated members. So there are 3 persons who will be participating to the program committee meeting. So we know that there will be 3 NCPs nominated, 3 persons nominated who can travel to the NCP meeting reimbursed by the Commission. But of course, nationally speaking, there could be even 6 NCP nominated or even more. So it's really up to the country to decide how many NCPs. The problem will be then how many NCPs can go to Brussels eventually. And these rules won't change, meaning that if there are 3 places, 3 NCPs can go and not the whole team. So that is the answer that we have been giving to ourselves in Italy. So we also don't know yet how many NCPs we will nominate. We have different options in mind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katarina. We have questions for Marta from EIC NCPs. So, Tarık.
Marta.
Yes, Marta is here, right?
Yes. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you for the presentations. What's the role of EIC NCP will be in the Horizon Europe? Will they be responsible for all programs? Will there be difference between Pathfinder Accelerator like we have now? This is the question.
Yes, okay. There was a big discussion about this because there was mainly the Pathfinder side of the national contact point wanted to, as well as within the member states, there was a discussion to let them be separated. At the same time, in the current draft, we have, as Katerina was saying, we have already the mentioning of an NCP network in this specific pillar of Horizon. In the European Innovation Council draft work program, we have the mentioning of the NCP network, where the national contact points are combined between Pathfinder and Accelerator. So we have both of them within the same persons, actually, same people. And actually, one important thing on this is that the EIC NCP has been also combined within the NCPs dedicated to the whole third pillar of Horizon Europe. So we are talking about Innovative Europe NCPs has EIC NCP as a whole. So there is going to be probably an NCP network which is going to be launched in mid 2021, or I mean the more or less in the second half of the year, which is going to see combined NCP for the Innovative Europe pillar as a whole, and the Accelerator and Pathfinder together. At the moment, those are the information that we have.
Thank you very much. So the last question, again for the EIC Accelerator program, will associated countries take part in all aspects in the Horizon Europe, or will there be some differences in terms of roles and responsibilities between member states, associated countries? How many cutoff dates will be in first Horizon Europe, I guess, the first year in 2021? Yeah.
Okay, I replied before firstly on the cutoff. We do not have a specific information about the cutoff dates. What is written at the moment is that probably they are going to be maintained on 3 cutoff dates per year in the Accelerator, but it's not yet defined. So we cannot make it assured in a way or confirmed. And also for the Pathfinder open calls, it will be the same, more or less. And for the balance between associated countries and member states, actually, we do not have this specific information yet. At the moment, these are more related to what was Alexander presenting today. So more related to the implementation of Horizon Europe as a whole. So at the moment, we cannot assure that there is going to be, a same role or responsibility between member states and associated countries, and as well also in terms of opportunities for the proposers.
Thank you very much. So that's all the questions, I believe. So Alexander, you are on the floor now. So all the things from the NCPs. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chari. And I think that now it's the turn of Grigoris. I don't see him. We were planning to have some to guide all participants to tomorrow's Research and Innovation Days. Grigoris, can you hear me? Something happened, Grigoris.
He seems unmute. Mute, sorry. So mute now, maybe.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I had a technical. I'm back. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm still here.
I was expecting some technical problems with internet.
I will share my screen and I will share myself.
Okay, so the idea is to guide through the program of Research and Innovation Days. Yes, Grigoris? Am I correct?
We are a little bit behind in the time. I will move very quickly through that. So I will leave the part which is about the the reasons, pretty much obvious, the reasons that we're going for an online event these days. And also there are some particular pros and cons on the physical events. I must admit basically that I'm a big supporter of physical events. They're much better place to make connections, to establish the trust, to establish the communication and everything. But as we know, they cost money and they have space limitations. And unfortunately, during the COVID-19 times, they're also possibly considered as being dangerous. Now, with respect to the online events, cost-effective and everything is fine, but let's focus on the cons. Because the online events, unfortunately, give you, as we discussed previously, thanks to the question of our colleagues, it gives limited networking possibilities. They give, they don't allow people to be spontaneous, and also you cannot give away items. You cannot give memories to the people who are attending. Nevertheless, the European Research and Innovation Days, an event that every year was taking place physically, will now, starting from tomorrow, take place virtually via registration link. So you are all kindly requested to register if you haven't registered yet. This is where they're going to be, there are a few things, important things that are going to be presented. There is also, as usual, ceremonies and exhibitions and everything, but the two main interesting aspects are the Green Deal call, which is now open, and it has a deadline of January 2021, and the Horizon Europe that all of us are looking forward to collect as many information as possible, because as you realize, there are many things that are still in the dark for all of us. So basically, there are four reasons why you should attend: to learn, to participate in public consultations and co-design sessions, for networking and for interaction. We encourage you to register. Registration is free and it's open for everyone, but it's also mandatory. There are two key areas. One is the policy conference and the other one is the Science is Wonderful exhibition. The Science is Wonderful exhibition is actually a place where you can really meet the researchers, you can meet the people, you can get information, and you can also meet researchers from the Joint Research Center in the form of speaking directly to them. And then you have the hubs where you can have the plenary, when you can raise questions, where you can participate in live polls and in a chat box. And of course, it gives you the opportunity for networking. So the first hub is about policy. And there we can see how we can combine national and international and European policies, how the open science and knowledge sharing framework is going to be deployed, etc. Then we have the Hub 2, which is very important. It's about the Green Deal. It's about sustainable agriculture, carbon neutral buildings, clean energy, smart cities, energy efficient transport, and climate resilient communities. It has lots of interesting stuff both in day 2 and day 3. Then Hub 3, it's a Europe fit for the digital age. Here we're focusing on the buzzwords of IT, like artificial intelligence, big data, robotics, etc., but also addressing the ethical aspects of technologies. Hub 4, which is the one that most of us will be interested in, is related to Horizon Europe, that we will see how we can, how Horizon Europe is going to look like, how Horizon Europe is going to foster partnerships, missions, and synergies with other EU funding programs and policies. Hub 6, it's about smart implementation and synergies. It's about how can we contribute to policy making, how we can create an ecosystem that exploits research and technology results, but also what is the outreach and communication strategy under the new program. And also what is important is what we have learned during Horizon 2020 and during the COVID-19 crisis with respect to events, communication, meetings, etc. Hub 7 is about international collaboration. It's about associated countries, but it's also about climate diplomacy, it's about scientific diplomacy, it's about non-associated countries as well, and about the ambition of Europe to be a global leader in research and innovation. Hub 8 is dedicated to EIC Innovation Council. I think Many of you will be participating there, and we already got some very interesting insights. So it's a possibility for you to learn more or to meet people who are also interested into that. Hub 9 is focused on European Institute of Innovations and Technology. This is how EIT can boost the innovation capacity of regions, but how it can be connected with higher education institutions' initiatives. And last but not least, the ERC. This is there you can have a possibility even to meet prominent ERC-backed scientists, that they will present the results and show how they can build a more resilient post-pandemic world. But also there will be opportunities to engage, to discuss about the importance of public engagement and the science communication. And we can expect also some awards over there. So, question, how don't I get lost into such a very rich and diverse program? And there are two advices that I would like to share with you based from our experience from previous events, but also from the best practices that we apply in our team, in our project, in Turkey in Horizon 2020 Phase 2 project. So one thing is to read the event carefully and prioritize. Certainly, all the topics are interesting, and if someone has time, it's good to stay every day from 9 until 6 o'clock to watch everything. But since this is not always possible, particularly for 3 days in a row, I guess we're all busy people, one good practice that we applied in our team is that we separated and we assigned ourselves into different parts. For example, let me talk about myself. I'm mostly interested about topics which are related to Green Deal and to agri-food sector. I'm also interested about the EIC Accelerator because it's a core part of my business supporting startups. And I'm also interested about widening and the broader region of Western Balkans because I have worked for several years in Serbia and I always have a keen interest about the region. So based on that, as you can see, I have read carefully the program and I have circled the days that are interesting for me. I encourage you to do the same, but at the same time, I encourage you to do what we did together with my colleagues, with Alexander, with Philip, with Odysseus. We discussed together and we kind of split the work into different parts. So I will be following those activities as mentioned before, but then we will have other people. At the end, we will collect as much material as possible and we make sure that all the topics that our organization, our institution wants to cover will be covered by us. Of course, it's not always possible to cover everything. That should be understandable. But in any case, we believe that the event is a great opportunity just on time to get the final information about the Green Deal, because then will be the proposal writing period. And also to get as much information and as many contacts as possible about the Horizon Europe, because that's what we're all trying to do until the new programming period starts. That was all from my side. I tried to do it quickly in order to make sure that we don't get too much away from the time. And if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer.
Grigori, it was an excellent presentation. Thank you very much. This is Çağrı. So,
yes, so we encourage all of you to participate in this event. It can bring a lot of information, and you can see all people or the key players in specific missions, clusters, and all other activities related to Horizon Europe. I would like to announce maybe that since we are close to the end of this webinar, I would like to inform all of you that in the frame of our project, we are planning to have something like 9 events dedicated to general introductory trainings on Horizon Europe. So there is much more opportunities to share information about Horizon Europe and to continue, and the more official informations will appear from the Commission and from other sources. And after consultations with, we will organize that together with our partners, with APRA and ZSI. And after consultations with our partners, it seems to me that we will start end of October and November, when the more information will be available, because all questions were going into details. And at this moment, we don't have much details on the new program. So let's stay in touch, and we will inform through our website about the dates and of this events dedicated to Horizon Europe. Thank you. Chari, maybe.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for Katerina and Marta. That were very important and excellent presentations. So much appreciated. So we are looking forward to see you in the future events also. Thank you very much for your support for our Horizon 2020 activities.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Participant feedback.